These are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. This is Drayton Boylston, and I'm here with the always gracious, always handsome, always intellectually stimulating Gary Henson.
Amen to all those thoughts, and welcome everybody. And we are once again fired up and ready to give you everything that we possibly can in the next hour to help you build your coaching business, not your practice, but your coaching business.
Yes, we are. And Gary, Gary and I always get on, as you might have heard us say before, and we spend some time with each other just catching up a little bit before we get on these sessions. And we talk about what may serve you best and a lot of different topics and how we can show up today. And, one of the things that we were talking about today, Gary, you want to share just the personal improvement piece of things and what we're going to go over today?
Yeah, we talked about the different ways that we can help and support others. Many of the things that we teach and have been teaching coaches and people that join the industry, and we've been doing this for years and years and years, so we're kind of old at it. And we want to share with you today some of the things that we are actually doing, not just what we teach people to do, but practices and habits that we developed over the years that we are doing on a regular and daily basis, so that you can kind of get a feel for not like just do what we say, but we're actually doing the things that we teach and that we've been advocating now for almost 3 years on the Coaching Crucible calls.
Mm-hmm. And Gary, let's just do a touch point with folks. So just to show of hands, let us make sure that you are hearing us well and technology is good. If you could just raise your hand on the console, just pop your hand up there and let us know that you can hear us loud and clear. There we go. Look at all those hands firing away. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Yeah, so to piggyback on what Gary was saying, one of the things that really kind of gets our goat is the folks that are out there teaching all this stuff and pontificating this and that and we know a lot of these folks and we know what they do and don't do for the most part. And as coaches, we just need to show up as who we are and let people know. And Gary and I try to be very transparent about this. What we do and what we've succeeded at and what we failed at, and the good, bad, and the ugly with all this stuff. And one of the things that's important for us to get across is that we're a work in progress, right, Gary? We're not a finished product, and we continually work at different things and discard things that don't necessarily work for us, and really do our best to improve as human beings, hopefully on a daily basis. And that's what we want to share with you today, just in terms of what we do. And what we'd love to have you do is, first of all, drop everything else you're doing. Put your phone down, put your laptop down, tune into this, of course, but don't be typing things, and send some thoughts about this to us, if you would, please, and we'll do our best to answer and respond. Maybe habits that you have, ways that you keep your pencil sharp and you improve and you found that are beneficial for you, because as we've said before, the collective wisdom is so much greater for all of us to get together and share these things versus just from the two of us. So if you would share your thoughts, and as we share what we do, uh, give us your thoughts too. Does that sound like it might help you? Does it sound like it's really silly? Just give us your thoughts, because none of this is perfect. And you'll find that Gary's approach is probably a little different than mine. And my approach is probably a little different than maybe yours is. And the point with all this is that we need to spend almost as much time on ourselves as we do working with others. And we're really passionate about doing that because we know we don't want to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof to our clients. We don't want to be, come across as omnipotent and all those things. what we want to do is be able to share with our clients some of the things that we do and things that work. And that's really what Gary and I are talking about today, in terms of we'll share with you what we do and what we found that works for us and what has not worked for us. So Gary, maybe that's a good place to start. Maybe let folks know what hasn't worked for us. What comes to mind for you, Gary?
Well, fresh thought for me is I went to a seminar. Well, two things come up for me right away based on what you've been saying in the introduction here, and to answer your question is, first of all, top of mind for me is last weekend I went to a seminar, a training for coaches and for senior coaches. The topic was branding and marketing for the most part. It wasn't the entire topic, but that was the lion's share. And one thing that comes to mind is that when I get introduced in environments like that, I hear people gasp. You know, oh, that's the Coach Gary is here from businesscoach.com, and people always say, wow, where did you get, how much did you pay for that domain name? You know, how did you get that, and where did you get that? Or are you a franchisee of somebody bigger or whatnot? And I just want everybody to know that it's kind of an eerie, kind of a crazy feeling that I get like that, because believe it or not, I put my pants on the same way that every other male puts their pants on, and I do the same things, and looking at how to grow and better myself and expand businesscoach.com all the time, and how I can bring more to the table to our students, our coaches, and the clients that I work with. And it surprises me that people think that I have it all figured out, and that my A game is the only game that I have, you know. And so I want everybody to really get that. It's really fresh for me. I get goosebumps just picturing myself in the room last weekend in this situation where, you know, I am constantly learning. I go to Drayton. I probably go to as many seminars, trainings, processes, new, unique, really solid foundational coaching business tools from one end of the spectrum to the other as anybody else. And I'm always in a continuously learning process. So that's the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm always learning, and I'm not there yet. I don't ever figure that I am ever there yet. And I think in 2015, I think from some of my clients, some of the new coaching techniques and tools that I brought to the table, and some of the new things that I've worked with students and some of our people that are growing their coaching businesses, I think I've learned more this year than any other year. And things that I thought wouldn't work last year and the year before and the year before, I'm implementing this year, and they're working great, and I'm open to new possibilities. So that's one thought right out of the chute. The other thing is that I've been studying the process of marketing, coaches marketing to the world and branding themselves and positioning themselves. And I think on every single one of these calls, we have said at one level or another, to create a niche, create a narrow niche for yourself is a powerful tool, and to brand yourself in that niche and be that person, not a coach for everybody, but for your particular niche. And then you become the thought leader, and then you become the thought leader by writing articles and white papers and doing seminars and trainings and recordings and products in that niche. And the more you do, the more you become the thought leader. We've said that over and over and over again. But one of the things that I learned in this seminar that I want more coaches to take on is it is 10 times easier for the client to call you, the potential client, your potential client, to call you than for you to call them. And sometimes we have to go out and develop meetings. I call them demonstrations, not presentations, but demonstrations, to work with people and coach them a little bit so they can see what we do and actually get hands-on experience And sometimes those can go to 3 different meetings. I can meet somebody, do a demonstration, do another one, and another one. And so eventually get them to the point where they can make a choice. Yes, I want to hire a coach, or no, I don't. But the point I want to get to is that there are processes and systems that you can use, and we've talked about them on these calls, to where it's always better when the client calls you. It's always better when the client is prepared and anxious to hire someone, and they're looking for you, not in the space of prove to me that you can coach me, prove to me that you can validate value in the relationship, prove to me that you can make a difference in my business or in my life as a coach. And we just can't prove it. And every year I learn more and more and more, Drayton. And here's the punchline. Before I turn it back over to you, Drayton, here's the punchline. I learn more and more to say no to people that, you're just not a match for me. And I'm not the best coach for you because I do a different type of coaching, or you're not ready for coaching, or let me refer you to somebody else because you're not in my niche. And it seems like my lifelong lesson, Drayton, that I need to learn is that have people fill out a contact form, have them prepare for the meeting with you before you meet with them, and have them give you a good reason why, when they meet with you either over the phone or in person, that they are ready for coaching and they're ready for your coaching. They've spent time on your website. Have them fill out a form so that you understand who they are, and then it's not a big deal. Just like, why is it that you want coaching, and why me? Why am I the person you're talking to? And have them convince you that they're ready, not the other way around. And I think most of us are chasing dollars or hitting goals, Drayton, and that's not the right reason and the right space to be in when you're meeting with a potential client. I'll flip it back over to you, and you can take it from here.
Yeah, and Gary, I want to circle back. It's all great information. I think it's important. Let's tell folks what hasn't worked as well. And I think this is because I see a lot of coaches spending a lot of time in places that they probably shouldn't. And so Gary, for you, just when you think about things that haven't worked, where you just get through, or after a period of time you go, man, I was chasing parked cars. This is just not working. So what comes to mind for you?
First and foremost, I kind of alluded to it but didn't say it, is taking on clients that I just had no business taking on.
Mm-hmm.
I got too zealous, or I got into the space of hitting my goals, or I thought that I could help them and I could tell they weren't coachable. We have a process that we teach that there's 4 levels of coachability for people. Not coachable, selectively coachable, reluctantly coachable, and coachable. And in my heart of hearts, I always have a positive approach, saying I can get this person up to the point where they're coachable, and some people just aren't. And when you can tell early in the relationship, and I see the telltale signs, the warning signs that they're not coachable and that they're not going to do their assignments, or they're going to give me excuses, or they're going to say next time, I need to be willing to say, it's been 30 days now, you're not conforming, it's time to give you your money back and move on, or it's time to terminate the relationship. So my positive, I can do anything and overcome anything attitude is not appropriate when it comes to selecting and working with clients.
Oh, that is, may I jump in here, Gary, because that's such a valid point that resonates so deeply with me. I just had a conversation with a client of mine who's also a colleague who I've agreed to help out just in terms of growing his business. And he came clean about that last month. He was talking about, I knew the moment I signed this client, it was a bad decision. And he goes, I did it for the money. They prepaid 6 months or a year or whatever it was. And he said, I ended up having to fire them last week after, the first month because I knew in my heart they just were not a good fit, but I did it anyway. And he said it was so painful. Every single session was incredibly painful. Did you find that to be the case?
Yes, yes. And in the back of my mind, as I'm coaching these uh, business leaders, in the back of my mind, I'm saying we can do this, we can turn this around, it can get better. But my conscience, there's a lump in my stomach. My conscience is telling me, no, they're not in the right space. They don't understand. You're saying the words, Coach Gary, but they're not hearing what you're saying, and they're not following your lead. And it's
Yes.
just really critical that we need to lead people, and be really, really brutally. You need to be. You can be tactful, but you need to be brutally honest with them. You're not going to get the results that you want to get because you're not following our lead. And it's not like I have the answer to everything in the world, but there are some things that you just can't fudge on, and you're bending the rules. We actually have 11 ground rules for coaches, for clients to follow, that they have to agree to before we take them on as a client.
Yeah, we have the same thing in our starting line when we send it to clients. It's like, okay, these are the things that you will agree to before we engage, and let them set that expectation up front. For all of you coaches out there who may have clients that are not a good fit, we're going to ask you to do something brave here. Fire them. And if you're sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I need the money," you'll find the right clients. They'll come to you once you set the intention that you are only going to take people that are, as Gary said, in your niche, that coordinate or align with your values. Then you're going to find that your practice starts getting traction. Your business starts getting traction because
Yep.
you're compromising your integrity by doing this, by taking the money when you know it's not a good fit, because as coaches you have supreme intuition. I know all of you do, and you need to follow that intuition. And truly, I have fired so many clients before they ever engaged me. They were prospects at the time, and just said, either I don't think you're ready for coaching, I don't think this is a good fit, I don't think our values align. I'm very, very direct with them, and I love them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll send them on their way with a hug and a kiss. But it's more, I know where this is going, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a train wreck. And part of the carnage is going to be me compromising my integrity around that. So
Mm-hmm.
please think about those clients that you may have or you may be on the fence about, and are they a good fit? And when you get to that place where you fire your first client, it is unbelievably liberating because you made a stand in terms of how you're going to show up as a coach, what your business is going to be built upon, and you're doing something about it, and not just taking anybody off the street whose check clears. Would you agree with that, Gary?
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. And Drayton, we should probably mention to everyone, this is counterintuitive. We understand that this
Mm-hmm.
is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
We had to suffer and go through the same thinking process and the same toils and pains that you're going through. And that's why we're having these conversations. We're committed to having real conversations and putting this information out there and working with you, as opposed to looking good and being right and telling you a bunch of fluffy, fun to talk about topics that aren't going to make a difference in your world.
Mm-hmm. Got a great comment from Anthony. He said the mindset of scarcity, not abundance, and that's exactly what this is. So you go to that scarcity place of thinking, oh, I can't get rid of this client because how am I going to pay the light bill? And what if another one doesn't come around? Well, I will tell you, the good news is you won't have to worry about those things a year from now because you won't have a business. You just won't have a business. So
Mm-hmm.
take inventory. So here's homework, Gary. Let's give them this homework. when we conclude today, if you've got some time after this or before you retire tonight, make a list of who you're working with. And in your heart of hearts, list whether, just write down, are they a good fit? Are they aligned with your niche and your values or not? And then the B piece of that is the clients that you have, think about them and think about the way you're going to have them pay you twice as much. And I can hear the collective gasp, Gary. It's like, what? 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 Well, I will tell you, once you make that stand too, you will be blown away. So when you do the simple math, so you could have half the clients you have now, double the price, you're making the same income. And you start getting the right clients, and they're going to pay you more, and have confidence in what you charge. What we've seen that has not worked around this is anyone staying in business without charging enough. That does not work at all. Gary, it never will. Yeah. Yeah, it never will. The math never works with that. Okay, here's a couple other things, and Gary, this might light some people up. Here's something that I've never seen work. Networking. Never, ever, ever have I seen it work. Because the people that I have witnessed, and I've been to a million of these things and heard a million people talk about them over the years, the people that are there are not the people you want to hang with. Be it, in coaching, speaking, whatever, training, the people that go to these networking events have that scarcity mindset, and those are not the people you want to hang with. The other piece of this, and this is really going to get some people, Gary, is I love the idea of coaching associations. What I know is that those meetings that are attended by, the people that attend most of those meetings, there certainly are some exceptions. They're probably not people you want to hang around with too much. And that is because they're spending the time in places they shouldn't, that are least productive, in order to build their business. So if you spend a lot of your time going to coaching association meetings or other kind of meetings around this versus really focusing on building your business, it's probably not a good use of your time. Think that's inflammatory enough, Gary?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I want to be straight. You said it, but I just want to emphasize there are some exceptions. There are some exceptions, and I would say for the people that want to take a look at what might those exceptions be, I would say this. Drayton hit on it, but I would just I would emphasize, if you're going to go to a meeting, find out how many and who's going to be there, and are they owners, or are they leaders, or are they people that are trendsetters and successful, or are they other people that are going to seek out to see if they can sell you something or hang out with you and take away your time. So just be really, really objective about it and find places to hang out. Right now, Drayton, I have an entrepreneurs group that I have to be president of this particular year, but we call ourselves the top 20 thought leaders of Sacramento. It's the top, not 20 people, but 20% of each individual industry. So they're owners of businesses, and there's about 15 of us. We meet once a month for lunch, and we have a real rigorous time frame, 90 minutes we meet, so on and so forth, and we all discuss business trends, so on and so forth. And we're not there trying to get business from one another, although that does happen occasionally, but we're working with each other to better each other, make ourselves better. And if we know somebody who's a mutual acquaintance or friends that we can refer, we do that too. I'm looking for another group like that that's bigger. Like, everyone in the room is a millionaire. Everyone in the room is successful at some level, some measurement that I can hang out with people where I'm clearly not the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I can be vulnerable with them and say, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. How did you get your business from A to B and then get it up to the C level? I've never been able to get to that point before. How do you do that? And what do I look for? What are the indicators that I need to measure? And how can I leverage what you've learned, Mr. 30-year successful person? How can I leverage what you've learned, because I've never been able to quite get up to that next level? And so I want to hang out with a group of people where I'm not the smartest person in the room.
I think that's brilliant counsel, and that is so true. And that, the old adage that look around you and see the level of success your friends have achieved. That's going to be your plateau. And I think it's really important, and not just from a friendship standpoint, but hang around people that are smarter than yourself. It's my adage when I was hiring people. It was always, I want to hire people that are smarter than me. And I think that's so smart. So think about, here's some more homework. As you look around your 360-degree life, we call it, your 360-degree life, look at who you are choosing to spend your time with. What we have found is that what doesn't work is hanging around people that have that scarcity mindset, that cast aspersions on what you were doing as a coach. And all of you are nodding your heads, I hope, because you've got people around you that are going, what is this coaching thing? And you really think you can make a business out of it? And I mean, how many times have we heard that? And think about cleansing all of that. And it's kind of like YPO. So Young Presidents Organization is what Gary was describing. It's a similar thing. It's all very successful people under 40 that have built businesses or running businesses that are in excess of $5 million. And that's the kind of group and kind of people you want to hang with. The typical networking things that coaches see, get invited to, I get pinged all the time from these people. We're starting a new this and starting a new that, and would you come speak? And it's like, no, I'm no, I'm not going to. And I help those that are, as Gary was saying earlier, that are coachable and will absorb the information. Same reason we're doing this Crucible thing, to reach a lot of people. We've got 1,700 people signed up for the Crucible. So that's where we want to spend our time, is with folks that want to put in the work, that want to serve other people. But we're not going to be hanging around with people that aren't going to feed our soul and that are not headed in the same direction. So I know this may seem a little bit harsh and maybe tough, but that's kind of the reality of it. So anything else to add around that, Gary?
Something just came to mind, an instinctive thought that I have is, I don't think that this exercise we do enough, Drayton, where we sit down and say, okay, so this is my niche. Who is my ideal client? What age group are they? Are they mostly male, mostly female, or a blend of the two? What's the biggest issue that's in their life, the biggest unresolved issue in their life? What are they looking to achieve next? Ask questions like that of yourself. And then the final question is, where do those people hang out?
Mm-hmm.
Where do those people hang out? And go hang out with those people. And again, we've had so many people on the calls in previous years, Drayton, say, well, I don't know how to be the thought leader. I don't know how to narrow my niche down from everybody in the world to, only females under the age of that do this, that hang out here, so on and so forth. But I'm finding that people that have a really narrow niche and really understand their niche, understand it like they can smell them coming down the street, that they understand them so well. And then write articles into that group, hang out with that group, find out where they might have. Now, if you want to hang out with an association, hang out with the association. Like if you're only working with law firms that are 50 employees and up, find out where that association meeting is and hang out with them, and go to their luncheon every month, and ask them, who's your coach? Why don't you have a coach?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you know that is successful, really, really successful, that doesn't have a coach? Give me 3 stress-free reasons why you wouldn't want to hire a coach. Maybe it's not me, but we can get together. We can talk about if we're a match. Hang out with people that are in your niche, and really be specific as to what those people, where they hang out, what are their hobbies, what do they like. A lot of them might like golf, and if you're a golfer, then invite them to golf. Go out and golf rather than go to a networking meeting with a 10 hungry people that are all trying to sell you something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes so much sense, and that really points to what works is research. The shotgun approach to building your business does not work. Just attending this and attending that and speaking for free here and there and without checking out the audience. So it really comes down to research. Research who you want your client to be. Get crystal clear about that. As Gary said, find out where they hang out, and then find out the best. And what we talk to clients about all the time, Gary, is what is your highest and best use? So all of you, please write this down. What is your highest and best use? So when you think about building your business, wherever it is, if it's de novo, just starting out, we've got a comment from someone just saying, I don't know enough yet to argue with you. I love that. Don't worry, that will come. I love the people we get. Do your research and figure out these things so you can play to that highest and best use of your time and efforts. And what doesn't work is the shotgun approach. Just taking anybody and everybody and saying, I'll coach anybody that can fog a mirror. That's not going to work. Gary, one of the things we were talking about are our routines. Maybe that would be helpful to share with everybody, kind of our daily routines for improvement, for focus, for peacefulness, all of those things. Just share with how we do it, and if you find any pearls in there, some things that may be useful for all of you, then that's really our intention, is to share how we do it, because we actually do all this stuff, and we do the dirty work. You just have to do it, and maybe share that with them. Gary, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think there's a few tips along the way that I can expand upon. So if I could start, I'll start off with this. My theory is that human beings can be compared. The thinking process of a human being can be compared to a rubber band. And the more you learn, if you take a rubber band and expand it out, the more you learn, the more you grow, you expand, you expand, you expand. And one of the things I've noticed is if you don't stay in the continuous learning process, if you don't continue to expand, then the rubber band shrinks back to its original state. So my theory about how I want to start my day off is I have a devotional that I go through. And I think most people have heard or are aware of the fact that I'm a devoted Christian and follow my Christian faith, not religion, but faith. And I do a devotional every morning. And the way it started out is that I started writing down ideas and thoughts that I wanted to regenerate every single day. I want some things so I started writing down things that I noticed that are habits that I have that are really difficult to break, that I wanted to continue to be in the habit of doing positive things every single day. And the first, I was in a hotel room one night traveling, and I thought better of myself than to turn on the TV. So I got my laptop out. I started typing positive thoughts and reminders of things that I wanted to do on a regular basis. One of them had to do with my weight. Another one had to do with making sure that I went to the health club at least a minimum 3 times a week, and so on and so forth. So I started typing them down. I struggled. After about 2 hours. I got a half of an 8.5 by 11 page typed up, and left the screen open. Got up the next morning, and I remembered a quote that I wanted to write down, so I added the quote. And then later on that week, I opened the document up again, and I remembered a couple of other quotes and a couple of areas in the Bible that I wanted to take scripture and put that in there. And now I'm up to 1 page. And I was pretty proud of myself that after a week's worth of thinking, several hours, that I could put my life onto a page and the reminders of how I wanted my life to look on this page. And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute, this is a devotional. I'm going to read this every single morning, the first thing. And I got in the habit of doing that. Well, that document now is 8 pages long, single-spaced, small type, relatively small type items of one section is what's working, what's not working, what's missing, and what's next in my life. That's a whole section. Another one are several areas sprinkled throughout, several quotes that I have that I live my life by, things to remind myself. Another area is who is my avatar, my target market? Who are the people that I want to help and make a difference for? I remind myself of that, and what is it that I want to make? How do I want to impact those people? And one of the statements that I have is that I want to impact people and have them learn to live an extraordinary life, as an example. And now that 8 pages is something that when I don't do it, or if I get busy or I have an early morning appointment, I feel like I'm suffering because I'm not reminding myself of who I am, what I'm committed to, what I stand for in my life, what my faith walk is, and who the people that I want to serve in my life are, and how do I want to serve them. So all those things are part of this 8 pages. It takes me typically about 45 minutes to read through it, and sometimes I change it and adjust it, and sometimes I take things out when I've accomplished certain areas of my life. But it's really a great, great way, in my opinion, to have a smart lifestyle and to remind yourself every day what you stand for, as opposed to the emotions that you wear when you wake up in the morning. I find that great, and I find that I don't wake up with the same set of emotions and feelings and confidence and thoughts every day. They vary, and this gets me on track, and it gets me headed in a direction that I know I'm confident is the right direction for me to both feel and think and devote my day to. So that's the thing that comes to mind for me as part of my day.
I think that's great, and that is so important, folks, to be very mindful of these practices like Gary described, and consistency with these. I find a lot of people may do something like what Gary was talking about, 2 days in a row, and then it falls off. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions, and it just, it doesn't have any sustainability. And what I've found that works for me is committing to something and sticking with it and making it a true practice. And I love that you're doing that, Gary, and it's so important to do that in the morning as you set the trajectory for your day. So important to do that. I'll walk you through what I do too, and it's not just in the morning. I do my best to do these things every day and continually. And the first thing I do, and it's worked really well for me just in terms of setting my tone for the day, is similar to what Gary said. Before I get out of bed in the morning, I meditate. So I awaken, and then I go quiet. I calm whatever thoughts I have. This is before my feet hit the floor. So if you need to set your alarm earlier, do that. I just wake up naturally that way. And I wake up, and before you get out of bed and your feet hit the floor and you're off running and, this, that, and then a to-do list pops into your head and all that stuff. What I find has worked incredibly well is I quiet my mind, and I truly just go quiet and call it meditation, silent time, whatever, and try to just cleanse my thoughts. And then after a period of time, it's usually about 10 minutes, give or take, it's not a long period of time, then I go into certain affirmations, and then I end it with, and this is all silent, this is just to myself, I end it with gratitudes. So thank you, thank you, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for, and just to the point where I'm beaming with gratitude by the time my feet hit the floor. And it's a simple process. It might take all of 15 minutes, and you can do it when you travel. You can do it, anytime, because your eyes are closed. Nobody knows what's going on, but you. And it's worked beautifully for me. And then when your feet hit the floor, it's with a whole different mindset, and in many ways a whole different purpose. And part of that, the gratitude piece is, I ask, how may I serve today? How may I serve our human race and the greater good? How may I serve? And I say that, how may I serve, countless times during the day, before calls, before the Crucible starts, before I go on any kind of encounters, just how may I serve? And show up in that place of service versus, what am I going to get out of this encounter? And I find that that's really, really helpful. Another piece that I employ is I've got a vision board, and oftentimes I'll meditate. I usually meditate, multiple times during the day. And again, meditation doesn't have to take a long time. And I have a vision board set up across from the chair where I meditate, and I'll meditate for a while. And it could be visioning meditation, could be compassion meditation, could be a number of things. And then when I open my eyes back up, I am staring right at my vision board, and I go through my vision board and look at every picture and absorb that picture. And there are, let me see, for about 16 pictures on my vision board of various things. And I have found over the years that works very, very well. So there are a number of things like this that you can employ that it'll bring purpose to your day. It'll create a peacefulness around what you do. It'll help you create this mindset of hopefully servitude that, as coaches, serves us incredibly well. And it's being committed to doing these things for yourself. And Gary, that's another piece. Coaches traditionally have been really lacking in terms of spending time on themselves, because they may think it's, all of you may think you're selfish, and I could be doing this, I could be doing that. Well, the most important thing is to charge your batteries. So, you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. And that's the approach that we take is, personal health and dedication to personal improvement starts with ourselves, and then we can radiate that out during the day.
Absolutely. I have a quote for you out of my devotional that speaks into what you've been talking about here, Drayton. The quote is, "The price of discipline is always less than the pain of regret."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's that word discipline is such a great word. Some of these things, if you're forming new habits, may feel like, they're tougher and may take discipline. What I have found is if it's the right thing over time, you crave it. So I get excited about waking up in the morning and going quiet and then giving thanks. I get excited about that. I get excited about meditating during the day. It thrills me. And that's, I believe, how you know that something is feeding your soul. If you crave it, if you get excited about it, and you know that you feel better once you do it, to me, that's a pretty good validation that it's something you should continue. So, folks, as you look at the console here, give us your thoughts. So, things that you may do during the day. How do you feed your soul? How do you create a good foundation for the day that's to come? And just give us some of your thoughts. Because it's so cool to talk to people and discuss these things and learn new things. I learned what I just told you in terms of my routine. I didn't make up. I learned from other people, and it's kind of an amalgamation of a number of different things that I've heard other people that have worked for other people, and I've discarded a ton of stuff over the years. And it's just a kind of it's a fluid process in many ways. And so don't be afraid to experiment and see truly what feeds your soul. So we're getting some great comments here. Just give us some other comments on things that you do. So one person said to start with a Bible study or a Charles Stanley podcast. I take a power nap every day. That is incredible. And they've proven, I've been reading up on this because I don't know, there's a guilty Puritan work ethic in me that I haven't let go of, that it's like, really, a nap? But I'm beginning to buy into it, Charles, so thank you. I think that's really good. And power naps, they've proven, are really, really powerful. Oh, dancing and kickboxing. Woo! That is terrific. Um, to keep my monkey mind focused, I ask myself what is really important for me today, and it keeps me centered. That is beautiful, Kathleen. Yeah. Yeah, well, keep shooting us some notes here on things that you do. These are all great. And Gary, let's touch on the exercise part, because I've always told people for years running is my therapist, and
Yeah.
really the woods are my office, the therapist office. And
Yeah.
it's so true for me. I love the outdoors. I'm a trail runner. I run in the mountains here in Colorado all the time, and I find that it brings me so much peace, and I look very much forward to it every time I go out. Anytime, if I'm skiing, mountain biking, running, whatever it is, I just really crave it. And it's like I tell people, it's my moving meditation. And no matter where you are from a physical standpoint, vast majority of us can find ways to move and improve. So whether it's you employ walking meetings, or you just go for a walk yourself, get outside out of the fluorescent lights and get into nature. Nature, it feels like she envelops me in her arms every time I open up to her. And it's a gift. It's an absolute gift. And the more we appreciate that, and the more we expose ourselves to it versus running here indoors, running there indoors, it may be a gift that you want to give yourself. Yeah, exercise is critical. I run and do yoga. Yeah, yoga. Oh my goodness, that is a great thing. Great thing. Oh,
Absolutely.
and Martha says, I write in a gratitude journal. Love that. Experiment with writing poetry and do a morning devotion and Bible study. Excellent. Excellent. And
Beautiful.
and these are all, these things work for these folks and for Gary and myself. And they're, you may want to try some of these and just see what works for you. I know a lot of people, Gary, that get up and they'll do yoga and meditate in no particular, maybe they'll do yoga first, or maybe they'll meditate first. And it really feeds their soul in terms of starting with some activity and then quiet time, or quiet time and then some activity. What we do in one of the programs that we have is that we do a sequence. This is part of, Gary, our Active Exec program that we
Yes.
do with corporate executives and entrepreneurs and other professionals. We have folks work out for 45 minutes, and this is Friday morning, 7 o'clock, rain or shine, every Friday. They work out for 45 minutes, and then we do mindfulness, neuroscience-based training, and then we do group coaching, and all of this lasts in total an hour and a half.
Uh-huh.
So it works beautifully for people. And Linda says, my groggy, sleep-deprived brain wakes up quickly when I walk out of the bedroom area of my house to the living areas. My day pops into my head, and I thank God for another day to share with my 16-year-old dog. Oh, how cool is that? And my passion for coaching and all the other ways I feel blessed. It sets up a happy day, and I do know how blessed I am. Yes. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're talking about. Hey, Gary, if you do one thing, start your day with just some simple gratitudes, either writing them down. A lot of people, we work with people to, before they get out of bed, keep a notepad by your bed and a pen, and just write down one or two things every morning that you're grateful for, and revisit them at night before you go to bed, and just see what changes in your life. Keep that up
That's
for a
a
while.
proven technique for, like you said, you learn these things from other people, and that's a proven technique that many people have found that it's altered their lives by writing down, journaling, praying prayers of gratitude, and being grateful for what you have. Because we're in a society that we live in, we're always looking for the next thing or something, and being gratitude, I think, is one of the healthiest things that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard a gentleman, I can't remember if it was Eckhart Tolle or someone else, was saying when they were in the pits of desperation and contemplating suicide, um, they went to write their suicide note, and all of a sudden they realized how grateful they were for the pencil they were using to write the note.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing, and shifted, and of course, they took a turn for the better and went to a different place. But it's their whole point in the story was that even in the throes of such desperate feelings that you may have, you can always find something that you're grateful for. And
Absolutely.
no matter what, so health, family issues, world challenges that we have, and it keeps us from going to that victim place. And we tell people it's an inside out game, not an outside in game. So the more we
Mm-hmm.
live from the inside out and generate these feelings and positive thoughts internally, the more we'll show up in the world and give that gift to others externally.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. So other thoughts from folks? I'm feeling pretty full here, Gary.
Good stuff. One thing I would like to add that I think fits in with our conversation today, Drayton, is we've talked about this before, but as I said earlier, when I look at transformation or the growth of a human being, where you expand the rubber band and it contracts if you don't grow, I think there's a lot to be said for reading the right books, reading the right material, growing yourself constantly. It doesn't have to be reading. I have some of the best material that I have is not available in a book, or the book is like 4 inches thick, and it's a consolidated book on a recording that I listen to. And I brought out one the other day. These CDs are getting old and scratched up. I'm going to have to get a new version because I've listened to them for so many years, and the material is still powerful and enlightening to me and inspiring to me. In this particular case, it's some of the work of Byron Katie. I don't know if you know of her work.
Sure. Yeah.
Tremendous work. In fact, she actually has a book on gratitude. But some of these, I got some of her work out the other day on a recording that I think is one of the most brilliant coaching recordings I've ever heard in my entire life, of all of the coaching material I've ever studied and listened to and read and been involved with and learned. And it just inspired me. It just really reminded me, not only gratitude, the gratitude is part of it, but I heard her say some things when she was coaching some people, and I thought, I've listened to this thing 50 times. I didn't hear that the first 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a subtle little thing that she said to one person, and the person went from tears to laughter. And this one little, it wasn't intended to be a joke, but she was lightening up the conversation, the coaching conversation, with this person that was grieving and in tears, and was, being a victim, so to speak. And Katie just said to her one comment, and the person looked at what she was saying and feeling, and turned it all around and laughed. And I thought, wow, 50 times I'll bet I've heard that, and I didn't get that one little tool that I can now add to my toolbox to help people grow and get better. So there's so much great material, and I've offered this before. At businesscoach.com, we've read hundreds of books and have selected about 16 to 20 different books that are part of the curriculum, not the recommended reading for our clients, but the required reading for our clients. And if anybody wants that list, I'll be happy to send it to them. I know there's new people on the call today that have not been on the call before, but all you have to do is send me a email, Gary, Gary, at businesscoach.com, and I'll forward the reading list on to you. And then beyond those 20 different required reading, then we have a library of other transformational books, inspirational books. And again, there's lots of bestsellers out there, and there's lots of great books. The beautiful part about this list is that we've read these and been recommended by dozens and dozens of people before we read them, and they all fit with our methodology, our curriculum, and the coaching style that we want people to utilize in our trainings, and that's transformation. We want people to have transformational tools. So if anybody wants that, they can get that information from me. I'll be happy to send it to you, and just put in the subject line books or reading, and I'll be happy to reply in the next couple of days and give you a copy of that.
That's very gracious, Gary. And we've got a couple of comments around this. Someone said, well, what was the name of recordings you listened to from Byron Katie? Do you remember what those were?
Yeah, it's she's actually written a book. Her cornerstone book is called Loving What Is, 3 words, Loving What Is. And I highly, highly, highly recommend to anybody in the coaching industry that to not, you can get the book, and as my daughter says, Dad, it's one of the driest reads I've ever had, because she really goes into detail, and it really is a hard read because it's so much material and it's so in depth. But the same thing is available on recording. And actually, she consolidates the reading, and she reads part of the book, but then she actually chooses, I think, about 8 different people to coach. And you can actually listen to her coaching these people, and every single one of them is in trauma. Every single one of them is stuck. Every single one of them is in a victim-y mode, and she pulls them out of it within minutes. And her system, the way she coaches, and her process is brilliant, brilliant. And all of the $1 million coaches that I know have, any of them I think that I've been around and had meetings with and talked to, they all said, oh yeah, we know Byron Katie's work. We've studied her for years, and most of them have taken her class.
Yeah, and her, one of the things, and people are saying what the title of the book is, I'm sending some of these, it's Loving What Is by Byron Katie, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
It's a recording. It's well worth listening to, and it's much easier to listen to than to read the in-depth material that she writes in the book. The book's great, but the recording is just over the top.
And that's a really good point. Almost all the books I consume now are through Audible, audible.com, which is now owned by Amazon, and I've got hundreds of books that I have recordings of, and it's a great resource. So that's the way, just another way that we keep learning too. I listen to, on average, about a book every week and a half.
Yeah, me too.
So it's really important to keep ourselves exposed to this. And Gary, we're right at the top of the hour, and as we are very respectful of everyone's time, anything else you'd like to add before we click off here?
I would like to thank everybody for being on the call, and God bless you for your continued learning, and for all of those of you that have like-minded friends that are coaches and people you think would get value out of the Coaching Crucible, please invite others to attend. It's a no-charge, no sales zone. We never have an anticipation or have anticipated charging for this. It's Drayton and myself's way of giving back to the industry. And so please invite others, and let's get a robust group of followers and people, because 2 heads are better than 1, and 4 are better, and so forth. So invite others to join us.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And please drop us a note and let us know about topics and what you would. We're getting a lot of thank yous here, Gary. I know you can't see the console from where you are, but we're getting a lot of thank yous, and we appreciate that. And that's why we do this. We do this to help you, to serve others. It's our selfish part of this is that we get to hear the success stories. So share those with us. And
Yeah.
if you've used some of these things and it's worked well for yourselves or your clients, that really feeds our soul to hear those things. That's why we do this. So
impact the industry.
Yeah.
We want to make an impact in this industry and help others learn it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. So if we may be of service in any other way, please let us know. And we'll look forward to hearing your voices, seeing your typing next month as well. And in the interim, Godspeed, and we send you many blessings. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.